Welcome to Ollie Campbell Park. It is round one of Division 1B, and it's the home side, Old Belvedere at home, taking on the visitors, St. Mary's. And this has been a fierce rivalry. And over the past 18 games between the two sides, the average score has been 18 points to 17 in the favor of Old Belvedere. And Old Belvedere have won 9 of the games. St. Mary's have won 8, and there's been 1 draw. And within that little battle, the last side in this rivalry to win away from home was St. Mary's back in 2014 on this very field with a 14 points to 10 victory. With me in the commentary box today is Hayley White. Hayley, good to have you here.
Thanks very much. Yeah, looking forward to it. Like you said yourself, it's always a good match between these two teams. So I think it'll be a tasty opener fixture for the AIL and a tasty fixture for all these who are down as watching it as well.
Also at the beginning of the year, when these sides met for the second time in the season, Old Belvedere overcame a 13-point deficit in the final 8 minutes with a 24 points to 23 victory. And then back at Templeville Road, back in November last year, St. Mary's had the victory with 24 points to 21. The sides today, Old Belvedere, a lot of under-20s in their team from last year who actually played senior rugby last year and under-20s at the same time. They have all graduated now, and it's a sense of new beginnings with a new coach as well, and Ben Mannion from Australia. He's the ex-skills coach of Japan as well as Tonga and the junior Waratahs, and he actually guided Ennis Corti last season into Division 2B. And their prop, loose head prop, is Jamie Mulhern, a current Old Belvedere under-20. Callum Darling is the hooker, ex-Old Belvedere under-20 captain. That was last year. James Bollard is the new skipper this season. Fionn McWay is the number 4. Connor O'Wendy plays his 100th AIL game today for Old Belvedere. What a warrior he has been for the side. Paddy Darling is the number 6. 3 tries in the season last year. One of the finds of last season for Old Belvedere. Will MacDonald is the number 7. Cale Thatcher is a New Zealander at number 8. Number 9 is Connell Bird. Number 10 is Mick Kennedy. He's an ex-Trinity player. And last season for Trinity in Division 1A, he scored 94 points in that season. Jamie McAleese has a new lease on life. Jaden Beckett is the outside centre, New Zealander as well, and actually went to the same school as Cale Thatcher, the number 8, and that was Christ College. David Lynch is the left wing. Ariel Robles is the right winger. He'll bring a lot of experience to the park. 4 tries in the season last year. David Wilkinson is the fullback. For St. Mary's, we've got Adam Mulvihill, the loose head prop. Stephen O'Brien, Thomas O'Reilly, the tight head prop. Peter Starrett, the lock. Daniel Lean, the number 5. Ronan Waters, the 6. Ethan Baxter, the 7. Ronan Foley, number 8. Andrew Walsh, 9. Mick O'Gara, 10. Mark Fogarty, Tim McMahon is a centre combination. Stephen Kilgallen, the Irish 7th player, left wing. Connor Hickey, the fullback, and Hugo Conway on the right wing. The referee today is Shane Kierans, a Munster rugby referee, and also a health and safety specialist. We're almost set to go here at Ollie Campbell Park, and Mary's are playing from left to right. And it will be Mick O'Gara to get us underway. 52 points in the season last year, including 3 tries. And a former Irish under-19 player as well. It's a glorious day for rugby football, and almost hard to believe that the season is back on again. And what a way to open up round 1 with this Dublin 4 versus Dublin 6 derby. And Mick O'Gara for St. Mary's gets us underway. Almost a rough start for Old Belvedere, and that was well gathered. Connell Bird finds Darling. William MacDonald this time, the open side flanker. Bird is at the base and he finds his captain, Bollard. Miholo Kennedy to Jamie McAleese. So Old Belvedere keen to go through the phases before they look for exits. Callum Darling in support. Connell Bird. St. Mary's now, was that a knock on? Here's the new kid, Connor Hickey, the Australian, and starts off with an educated boot into touch.
Yeah, you can see here now Belvedere trying to work the ball through phases, through hands, tire out defence a little bit and look for gaps and create spaces in the St. Mary's defensive line. Good option, kick clearance out there through the middle of the field, and a good option then on the return from St. Mary's fullback to make sure they get a bit of ground on the return.
So it will be Callum Darling to throw. Scored a try in that victory against St. Mary's on this field at the beginning of the year. And up goes William MacDonald. And this is an area of the game where Old Belvedere really pride themselves at set piece with this rolling maul. And they've gained a nice 10 metres. Bird for MacDonald. O'Kennedy for Jamie McAleese. He's had a strong pre-season, the inside centre. And O'Kennedy for Robles, and he's under pressure. It's a really good hit by Hugo Conway, the Mary's right winger. Paddy Darling. So some staunch defence from St. Mary's. And O'Kennedy with a skip ball for McAleese. And there's big pressure here and a chance for St. Mary's.
You can see there, Marys are also, they're hungry in defence. They're getting up in a line, making the hits early and, you know, borderline there on a few late hits, but ref is happy to play with them, so play on. And they're big hits coming in and they're trying to take out players on that, and it's what's needed to rattle out the Belvedere attack.
Big front row battle here. Old Belvedere loose head prop Jamie Mulhern, current under-20 player, Callum Darling, the hooker, and James Bollard up against Adam Mulverhill, the loose head prop, Stephen O'Brien and Thomas O'Reilly of St. Mary's. And an opportunity for St. Mary's to strike 5th place on the table last year, just missing out on a semi-final berth. And perhaps that might have come down to their 2 draws against Malone. And it just shows you with certain games you build up momentum. You can't rely on solely momentum to get victories, especially with games where you're relying on points. And that's what did cost them ultimately. So Walsh with the put in. And Connor Hickey, you can also play a fly off. And here's Fogarty, the inside centre, back to Hickey.
Marys is playing the ball there on the ground. It came off, wasn't expecting the ball to come back to him, was on the ground, knees were on the ground and played it back to one of his own players, and referee was on perfect position there to notice that he was there on the ground. Penalty to Belvedere, who'll be able to clear the lines from here.
Rothan Foley, the number 8, who picked up that ball at the base of the scrum. Ex-UCD player, but schooled at St. Mary's. And he was really good for UCD for about 4 or 5 years. Got Cub Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year back in 2017-2018 season. And also partnered with his number 6, Ronan Waters, the captain, and Ethan Baxter, the number 7, who used to play for Old Belvedere. Up goes Darling, and a skew throw.
Yeah, not a straight throw there. You can see it from up here as well ourselves. It was just swaying over there to the right and giving the Belvedere pack the advantage in the lift. So the referee was right position there. Scrum then option taken. So scrum put in here to Mary's.
Andrew Walsh with the put in. Foley lays it back. Walsh comes on the short side to Hugo Conway. Tackled by Connell Bird, and another penalty to Old Belvedere.
You can see there Mary's trying to get in, trying to get the protection at the ruck, at the back of the ruck, and just came in a bit too eager, sealed off the ball and made the ball unplayable, which is was going to be a turnover. And referees are really looking out for that now, and it's just mainly a safety concern when they're diving straight in off the ball and trying to kill that ruck. So right call, and I think it's definitely a rule that needs to be looked at.
So David Wilkinson with the touch finder. And Old Belvedere, well, in their pre-season games, including the Leinster Senior League, they won 3 out of 4. Just that one loss to Lansdowne. They beat Old Wesley and beat Trinity, and also beat Old Crescent. St Mary's 0 from 2. Tough losses against UCD and Energia. William MacDonald with the take. Steady ball for Old Belvedere. So they look to earn a few meters. Darling with the dummy. And gain some good meterage. William MacDonald for Mulhern. And Bird this time to MacDonald with the offload. But they've got the free play and they've got the penalty as well.
Yeah, I think Mary's need to just hold their discipline especially when they're in their own 22. A few stray players there, maybe got a bit lost there at ruck time, and there could have maybe been a few infringements if the ref was looking for them, but he saw it there and was saying tackle off the ball, and I'd say Belvedere will go for the line here and just keep trucking up.
David Wilkinson finding touch. 7th AIL appearance this afternoon. So Callum Darling. And once again, it goes to William MacDonald. They scored plenty of tries from the Rolling Moor, and this could be their opening score as well if they can get over here for the season. And Darling is under pressure. That's outstanding defense by St Mary's. And Coach Sean Cronin, the new head coach of St Mary's, will be delighted with that defense, Haley.
Yeah, I mean, that was superb. They knew exactly what they had to do there, and they just were patient with it. Saw the ball coming down, saw the Belvedere had set quite well, and they knew that they were going to start trucking forward. And like you said, it's one of their strong points of their game. So Mary's were able to counter it, stalled it for a while, and then were able to peel it off and get then that tackle in and that hit in while it was still a maul, held it up, and then it'll be a turnover and a put-in ball to St Mary's.
Just as far as performances go, if we look at their season last year, Old Belvedere scoring 51 tries and conceding 63. St Mary's scored 61 tries and only conceded 55. And it just shows you how St Mary's had the better season last year. Just unlucky to miss out on a semi-final berth. So a chance to exit for St Mary's. But Old Belvedere will look to put the pressure on.
Yeah, referee's not happy with that one. He's just going to set it up again and just get it restarted. I think it's always super important with referees as well, especially in this day and age with the game, is making sure the scrums are set correct and from the start, and then you've got consistency throughout the game. There's no point in suddenly changing it halfway through the game and lads kind of looking at you a bit confused. So it's good to have a good set scrum from the get-go and get the first few correct.
So Andrew Walsh, ex-UCC player. St Mary's with a shove and the penalty as well. Outstanding from the St Mary's forward pack.
You can see the far loose head there on Old Belvedere side, went knee to ground, and it was a clear call there for the referee, an easy one for him to call, and Mary's will be relieved of that one. Just get the foot to ball and get it cleared out from their 22.
And that ball is not out. Let off for Old Belvedere, Ariel Robles. He can make something out of nothing. The electrifying winger. Bird for MacDonald. Miko Kennedy looking for grass, looking for territory. It's well marshaled by Connor Hickey, and he can also make something out of nothing. The fullback, good counter ruck from Old Belvedere. It's Jamie McAleese. Bollard, O'Kennedy, and Cale Thatcher lacking a bit of support, but Old Belvedere still with the ball in hand. Was that forward? Let's play on for Robles. Fionn McWay. Kennedy once more. And that ball is overcooked.
Yeah, I think the blood rush to the head there, as they always say, when the ball goes straight out into touch. And I think there was a previous ruck steal there from Old Belvedere where I think Mary's fell asleep, and it was just, there was 3 Mary's players standing there looking at the ruck while one Belvedere player powered through and just poached the ball. And it was well watched and very well timed, and great strength as well to see it and powered through. I think the ref here now is just having a look and making sure that all relevant parties stay in the technical zone. It's one thing they're really clamping down on this year with the RFU is making sure that all personnel stay within the technical zone and the number stay as is, just to keep sidelines a bit more in check, as you don't want any kind of bad behaviours creeping into matches so early on, especially the first opening round of the AIL.
So Brian with the feed. And up goes Ronan Waters, the captain. And this time St. Mary's getting the rolling more going. Andrew Walsh, the scrum half, says, keep going, boys. And O'Brien keeps going, some good meters. And Darling trying to come through the centre. Fogarty, the inside centre, with a good step. And Foley, the number 8. It's advantage St. Mary's. Mick O'Gara to Connor Hickey with the offload. And we'll come back for the penalty.
Yeah, the advantage there. So he's just playing it as a free play and tried to do the out the back door offload, and it just didn't come off. And there was space there, so if it came off, it could have been a dangerous ball, but just knocked off the hands and go back for the penalty advantage. I think it was not releasing in the tackle there. I think is what the referee's calling it. But you can see what he was trying to do. The Belvedere player was straight in over the ball, but just hadn't released clearly enough for the ref to be happy as a poacher as opposed to jackal.
It's a lovely opportunity for the visitors. Can they produce something off this line out? 13 minutes gone. And we deadlocked.
You'd be interested to see now if Mary's go for the Belvedere tactic and going for the down and maul, and see how Belvedere react to playing the ball in their own game as well. So let's see what the Mary's decision is here.
Starrett with the take. And their last rolling maul was very impressive, St. Mary's. And the blue machine edging closer and closer to the try line. And O'Brien is doing a really good job. He's getting closer and closer. And Old Belvedere, well, they're really looking like they're struggling. And it's a penalty try as well. So Shane Cairns, he was doubting himself a little bit, but eventually decided to give the penalty try.
Yeah, you can see where he was coming from with that decision. I mean, Mary's were clearly in control of that ruck. The Belvedere pack kind of seemed to peel away. One player came in and played the maul and collapsed them all in doing so, and then deemed it a penalty try.
It's getting closer and closer.
We see the penalty try being awarded for either side, so it's a strong call to make. So
Old Belvedere, well, they're really looking like they're struggling, and it's a penalty. So opening score of the game, penalty try to St. Mary's, a 7-pointer automatically. So Wilkinson with the restart, kicks it into his opposite number. Mikogara, Kono, Wendy for Callum Darling with the carry. Wendy. And Bollard, the captain, has got support. O'Kennedy for Wilkinson. Does really well. Not much space that time. Connell Bird on the short side. And Old Belvedere looking to hit back. And Jamie Mulhern. And Wendy for Bollard. So 10 metres out, Old Belvedere. Can they strike? Connell Bird and Darling. This time, Paddy Darling. Bird for O'Kennedy and Pickett. And he can be very strong in the tackle. The outside centre. And McWay. And Wendy on his 100th game with a great offload to Paddy Darling. Bird for Callum Darling. Get out of the road. What a carry that was. Connell Bird. Jaden Pickett in his first AIL starts. And the Kiwi strikes for Old Belvedere.
Yeah, it was a great finish there and well worked from the Old Belvedere side, and they just used their patience, worked through the phases and managed to get that ball into a position where they were able to break through the line. So it was a great finish, great patience and well worked, and a great response as well from Old Belvedere. Very easy for the heads to drop after you concede a try, but not on this occasion. Heads rose and got over the try line.
So Jaden Pickett, ex-Canterbury Development 15 from Lincoln University. Paddy Darling, Bird.
Yeah, you can see
for Callum Darling, get out of the road. What a carry that was.
So there's space there on the outside.
Connell Bird, Jaden Pickett in his first AIL starts, and the Kiwi strike. It's David Wilkinson. This is something an Old Belvedere have a lot of. His great place kickers. Justin Leonard, not in the match day 21 today.
Successful conversion.
David Wilkinson adding the extras. So St. Mary's 7, Old Belvedere 7 after 18 minutes. And that was a great riposte, Hayley, by Old Belvedere after conceding that penalty try.
Yeah, and like you said, these matches, particularly between Old Belvedere and St. Mary's, goes toe to toe. It literally this game isn't over until the final whistle blows at the very end of the match. So it just shows there in that 4-minute spell where you had 2 tries back to back. So it's going to be one of those matches.
Connor Hickey, and decides not to take it quickly. So Andrew Mulvihill, currently St. Mary's under-20s player, but getting a start today in the first side, the loose head prop. And Stephen O'Brien to throw. And Waters, it's an overthrow. No, it's not. Thomas O'Reilly, the big tight head prop with the take. So Andrew Walsh calming things down. Looking to put the pressure on. But there's too much on that one.
Yeah, the option there, I think that one would have been maybe to truck it up a little bit further. There wasn't exactly space in the backfield, so I'm not too sure what St. Mary's were trying to achieve there on that one, but rolled over anyway, and it was good reaction then from Old Belvedere to let it roll past, and it'll come back as a scrum to Old Belvedere, then back where the ball was kicked from. Seems to be an Old Belvedere player down injured at the moment. Just getting a bit of treatment on their elbow, I think it is.
So 7-all, 20 minutes gone, halfway through the second half. Beg your pardon, through the first half. Thank goodness, we still have 60 minutes to play. It's a bird to feed for Old Belvedere. And they've got the penalty as well.
Yes, I think the referee there has determined that there was, I think, a boring in from the far side. So he'll come back there, and he's on the ball with any sort of scrum penalties. He's keeping an eye on both front rows. So I think that's the third scrum penalty now within 20 minutes. So he'll definitely probably want to have a chat with the front rows soon enough, just to make sure we're getting all that set, because you certainly don't want to be having that amount of penalties throughout the whole game.
And Wilkinson with the touch finder, making sure of that one. So Callum Darling, well, gets the starting jersey at hooker. John McKee, who played most of the season last season for Old Belvedere, is now with Leinster. And McWay with the take. Making a few meters here, Old Belvedere. And Joe White, the ex-Cork Constitution player, with the carry. And Mulhern. Bird O'Kennedy for Paddy Darling. Old Belvedere, they've showed that they can be very dangerous with the ball in hand. O'Kennedy for Lynch and Ariel Robles, the two wingers in tandem. Bird for McWay. O'Kennedy and Thatcher. That's uncharacteristic of the big number 8. And St. Mary's will let off.
Bit of an unsympathetic pass, I think, there. It should have been really just a pop pass there. It was a bit of a bullet pass, which can be hard to catch at that short distance. So, yeah, like that. Just those silly mistakes starting to creep in a little bit on both sides. Those kind of unforced errors, things like that, are kind of starting to creep. First AIL game of the season. So it's going to have those few little cracks will start to show. But hopefully, both teams can start to rectify them and get back on track.
Steady scrum by St. Mary's, Walsh, O'Gara, Fogarty. And this time it's McMahon with a wonderful offload to Stephen Kilgallen, the left winger. And yes, Foley, another offload to Daniel Lean, O'Gara and Waters. Big collision in centre field. Good tackle as well by Callum Darling. O'Gara, McMahon with a cutout pass. Perhaps that's that early season cobwebs you're referring to, Hayley.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I think then the far winger there for Mary's just was that bit too flat. I think you can see what he was trying to do. There was space created on the wide channel there, and he was trying to give a bullet pass straight out wide. But unfortunately, there just went forward too and then went into touch. So I think they're given the option there of either scrum or knock on, or sorry, scrum or line out. But I think they're taking the line out. It seems. Where's the scrum? Hard to tell, but they'll have the option here now anyway, as it was forward pass into touch. So it's a scrum option anyway, I think is taken here. So like I said, just blow a few cobwebs in the first half particularly, and hopefully then both teams will just settle in a bit more and alleviate the anxious pressure.
Joe White comes on for.
I find it interesting what you were saying, Hayley, that it's important to get a good set and base at scrum time, but how do you balance that with the fan who wants the scrums to be sped up?
It's a hard one, and it's one thing that referees are always trying to get that balance. Really, is you want to kind of have a nice slow introduction, your crouch bind set, nice and slow, nice and pace, make sure everyone's steady. But like that, you don't want to be dragging it out too long. So it's the art of finding the balance, I suppose.
It's a Bird with the feed. Thatcher, Bird So Kennedy and Ariel Robles coming off his wing position. And a brilliant break by Joe White. He's got Connell Bird in support. Good football skills shown. Remarkable by the scrum off. Old Belvedere, can they strike for a second time? O'Kennedy for Wendy. Good defense by the captain, Waters.
Patience. Now be patient. Be patient.
Bird and McWay once more. Thatcher. St. Mary's have managed to reset their defense. Good recovery. And Callum Darling with the carry. Miholo Kennedy, Pickett, once more the outside centre. They've got the free play, Old Belvedere. Connell Bird gaining a few more meters. Fionn McWay. And Wilkinson. And there's a bit of a mix-up here. Big mix-up for St. Mary's.
You can see what the Old Belvedere are trying to do, use the advantage, play the free play and do a crossfield kick. And, you know, especially with the sun in the air, the high balls can be quite hard to catch. You can catch a blind spot and like that easily fumble it. And I think they were just lucky with the bounce of the ball that didn't just bounce over the line for Old Belvedere there to pounce on it, because they had players there ready to go for it. So, I mean, go back there as well to the skills of Bird there at 9 and just the awareness to know he's not going to catch it, let's get a foot to it and chase it. I think if he got another foot to it, I think he could have had the feet and the legs to burn the defender and get over under the post, but gathered the ball, got back to his feet and tried to play it out, and you could see Dowling as well shouting for the ball out wide. So they're out hungry here for another try.
It's a golden opportunity for Old Belvedere on the 5 metre line. An opportunity to take the lead as well. Will MacDonald with the take. And here we go. Old Belvedere looking for try number 2. St. Mary's, once again, have done a remarkable job to dismantle that maul. And the pick and go by Mulhern. And this time it's William MacDonald. And Owendy on his 100th game. Connor Owendy. Try number 2 for Old Belvedere. And what a way to celebrate your 100th appearance.
Great finish by Wendy there. You could see as well they'd numbers in. They were just looking to truck it up, carry it up and power through. And Marys were slow as well, getting back to the feet. They had a few bodies lying on the line, which, you know, lying at the ruck, which could have been more beneficial.
No,
spreading
Wendy
out
on his 100th
game.
Connor
there with the help of his teammates, just pulling him over and dotting it down. And great finish for Old Belvedere and great finish by Wendy.
It's so crazy to think that Connor Wendy in round 1 last year in the home game against Naas, he tore his ligaments and he was back in round 5. And this is his 15th consecutive AIL game. So he's gone from 85 caps to 100 caps, 15 consecutive game. And no one thought he would maybe be back last season as well. So remarkable.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's a great ambassador for the club too, and he's a face you always see around, and he's always happy to have chats with people in and out of the club. And it was the reason he was club captain last year, and he's a great warrior and like I said, a great ambassador for the team.
So Old Belvedere 12, St. Mary's 7. About 30 minutes gone at Ollie Campbell Park. And Old Belvedere starting to look very dangerous with the ball in hand and continuing that pre-season form. And Thatcher, the number 8. That's a good carry by the New Zealander. And this time it's MacDonald. Connell Bird. Back for Wilkinson, but it will be a penalty.
Yeah, I can see that one coming there now. As Mary's have been quite slow rolling at the ruck, and they're just laying there a little bit too long and not really making an effort to get out of there where they can. So it's just slowing the ball back down for Old Belvedere. So yeah, that was a good call from Shane Kieran's there, just to pin it and make sure that Mary's are aware that what they're doing is being watched and it's being pinged.
And also St. Mary's in these last 10 or so minutes are struggling for possession.
Big time, and like that, they're just making like that silly mistakes on both sides, but more so on Mary's, and they're just struggling to get their hands on the ball. Belvedere are very, very quick and clean at the ruck time at the moment, and Mary's just can't get in there and can't compete with it really at the moment. But I mean, like you said, it's only 30 minutes gone, plenty of rugby still left to play.
It's Paddy Darling with the take, and McWay with a dummy and then takes contact. William MacDonald, the open side flanker. Another penalty for Old Belvedere. O'Kennedy with the skip ball to Wilkinson, and here's Ariel Robles. And St. Mary's have to be very careful with this penalty count.
Yeah, it's starting to creep up here now, and it's creeping up on one side more than the other. So I'd say now they'll definitely have a quick chat, just make sure they're aware that the penalty count is creeping in. So I mean, it was a good option there from the Belvedere winger to just try the kick through. He knew he had the free play, so he'll come back and take advantage of it from here.
So David Wilkinson will have a shot at goal to stretch the lead out to 8 points.
I think this is a good option here for Old Belvedere to take the kick. Let the games breathe, let both teams breathe, catch their breath a bit, settle down. Had a frantic kind of 10-15 minutes there, so let their players catch their breath, as well as putting Mary's on the back foot again. So put them out of reach of one score. It'll be a 2-score game then if he manages to convert this. So a good option from Old Belvedere to take this.
Wilkinson, and he slots it with ease, the fullback. So Old Belvedere 15, St. Mary's 7.
Penalty to Old Belvedere, taken by David Wilkinson. Old Belvedere 15, St. Mary's 7.
It's a good clearance by Old Belvedere. Getting a nice exit after those 3 points. And Stephen O'Brien and Waters, another take for the captain. This is one part of the game that's looked impressive in the opening 33 minutes for St. Mary's. Fogarty, beautiful hands, Kilcallan, and the ref has judged that to have gone forward.
Yeah, again, just silly mistakes creeping in there, and there was no real pressure on Mary's there to have a quick ball out or anything like that. They could have taken their time, ensured safe ball to hand, and just fumbled it forward. I'm not sure if he didn't get a clean pass away, so it came forward off his hands, and referee was in line to catch it, so we come back for a scrum to Belvedere. So the settling of the nerves hasn't settled too well for Mary's just yet, but still plenty of rugby left.
A lot of time to go, but Old Belvedere at the moment do look comfortable after a shaky opening 15 to 20 minutes. But we all know, Heidi, that momentum can change very quickly.
Yeah, drop of a hat and you can totally change it. One line break and you get the whole lads behind you, and you got the whole crowd then too. And there's good numbers down as well on the sideline today, so it's always nice to have a few voices on the sideline and cheer either side on, and especially it being such a local derby that you'll have a few Mary travellers coming across as well.
Thatcher, Bird, O'Kennedy, Robles, beautifully worked, and Wilkinson takes contact. And lucky to have the line out to Old Belvedere, or it's actually given to St. Mary's.
Yeah, I think the far touches there just got his sides mixed up there briefly, but it seems to be Mary's. Mary's put into the line out anyway, and it's great to have two Leinster referees down the sidelines with Tom O'Malley and Damien Deegan down both. So it's always great to have just experienced referees on the sideline being able to guide the referee where they can. It was a knock on there, yeah. So I think that's where he had the original hand up, because I think it came off in off a blue, but came off a black into blue. So it was a knock on, then into touch. So I think the referee there was the right call there to bring it back for a blue put in for a knock on from black.
So 4 minutes to go before half time. Do St. Mary's have something up their sleeve? The pressure from Old Belvedere, but they do give away a penalty, and it's a chance now for St. Mary's to launch an attack.
Yeah, similar penalty to the last one as well. I think there was just the far tight out on this side, and this time coming in, boring in and driving in at an angle. So I'd be surprised now if he doesn't have a chat with them, and maybe just before the second half, maybe at half time, just have a brief chat just to make sure that they're doing things right and doing things correct, just to keep the scrums in check.
Stephen O'Brien starting hooker today. We'll probably see the skipper from last season, Richie Holpen, make an appearance. Was that skewed? Was Ronan Waters with the take, and that's got to be disappointing for coach Sean Cronin.
Again, you can see what they were trying to do, trying to get it up in the middle, get it down for a maul and drive it on, as their rolling mauls have been quite good, and they've been gaining meters on them all game. So I'd be surprised if they keep to that kind of gameplay for the rest of the game, but like that just came slightly skewed, so came over to the Mary side, so we'll come back for the option, and Belleville opted for the scrum.
Another steady scrum, picture perfect. O'Kennedy for Jaden Pickett. Fionn McWay. Slow ball for Old Belvedere. Thatcher. So just 2 minutes to go before half time. Bird with the box kick. And simply taken by Stephen Kilcallan, the Irish sevens player. And Old Belvedere with the counter ruck. Callum Darling with the grubber, and it's play on for Old Belvedere, and any points here will be extremely valuable for the home side. Mulhern, Bird, Miholo Kennedy, Wilkinson with the show and go. Intelligent play by the fullback, O'Kennedy. Jamie McAleese for Ariel Robles was the right idea, and it's another penalty, and at some stage someone has to go to the bin. And it will be Ethan Baxter as well, the ex-Old Belvedere player.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think it seemed to be a bit of a team try or team card on that one, where he just have to be that wrong person at the wrong time, and then you're the one who gets pinged. But the referee clearly had them on a warning, so another penalty, and that's what they got. And yellow card. Referee is going to stick to his decision and stick to his gun. So right call, and let's see what Belvedere can do with 15 against 14.
And this is where championship sides strike just before half time. And it'll be a healthy lead going into the half if they can get a score here. Old Belvedere. It was Paddy Darling with the take. One of the standout players last season for Old Belvedere. And yeah, they come once again. It could be third time lucky. It's Paddy Darling in possession. And the third time in a row St. Mary's have dismantled the roving maul, and that could prove to be very costly in the second half for Old Belvedere.
It was a great read from Mary's there. They knew exactly what they had to do, knew the player, knew exactly where the ball was at all times, which is always crucial if you want to turn over a maul. Knew exactly where it was, pinned the player in, so once that maul collapsed, he had nothing to do but to lie there and hope for the best, and Mary's had their arms wrapped around it. You could see two players wrapped around it, holding it in tight, and there was no hope that the ball was going to come back, so ball was brought into the maul by Black, and it comes out as a blue ball.
Free kick as well. So you wonder if there is enough time for the line out. And if not, well then surely St. Mary's will just boot this ball into touch. And that's probably the conversation that's being had. And they're going to have a scrum.
Yeah, opting for the scrum. I mean, free kicks as well. It's a funny one because because it's a free kick, not a penalty. The kick goes out. Belvo could have a quick counter-attack option, so I think they're happy there to slow it back down again, get their players in, most importantly draw in the Belvo defence too, spread the ball probably out wide, and I'd say clear their lines from there.
Big pressure from Old Belvedere, and Andrew Walsh says enough is enough in this first half. So Old Belvedere starting off the season on a positive note in this first half. Old Belvedere 15, St. Mary's 7. St. Mary's started off with a penalty try, and then Old Belvedere replied with 2 tries through Jaden Pickett, who scored on his AIL debut, and then Connor Owendi, who scored on his AIL's 100th appearance. And thoughts on that first half, Heidi?
I think it's exactly how we anticipated the game going. It's always going to be a close-fought battle. I think Mary's just need to get those balls out and the cleaner ball out wide, and you'll be able to spread it across and use the space a bit more. They're chugging it up the channels a bit more, and when they're trying to get out wide, it's the simple errors that are letting them down, knock-ons, forward passes, things like that. I think if they can correct them for the second half, they'll be a lot more dangerous because they have the pace, they have the speed, and they have the experience in the back line that they can get it out into open space and dot down in the corners if needs be. But they need to be able to do that, keep their head and keep their nerves, and put the pressure on Old Belvedere.
Don't go anywhere. There's a big 40 minutes coming up very shortly. Old Belvedere 15, St. Mary's 7 at halftime. So second half underway. David Wilkinson and Walsh, the scrum off. And that ball's not out. It's Connell Bird. Such a strong and powerful scrum off. And MacDonald. It's been impressive in the opening 40 minutes. O'Kennedy for Wilkinson. And McAleese is an opportunity here. Jamie McAleese with a skip ball to Lynch. And Jaden Pickett is giving chase. How did he manage to get that ball? Jaden Pickett. Connell Bird. Outstanding rugby. William MacDonald looking for try number 3 for Old Belvedere. Jamie Mulhern on his AIL debut, so close. O'Kennedy, Wilkinson, Cale Thatcher. The New Zealander strikes. That's try number 3 for Old Belvedere. What a start to the second half, Hayley.
It's a great start, and exactly the hunger that you want to come out on any side,
For Old Belvedere,
fighting for that ball. And you could see from the kick-off, the chase was
Jamie
hard, they were up
Mulhern
in their faces. They wanted to put Marys on the back foot from the get-go.
On his AIL
and they did
debut,
that, and
so
they did it
close.
successfully. And you know, how much more
O'Kennedy,
successful can you get
Wilkinson,
than
Cale
a try
Thatcher.
within the first minute of the second half. So great start, great intensity, and again, another great team try of pulling it up. Great carry initially from was Thatcher in the middle, down the middle of the pitch. Or I think it was Beckett, was it? Beckett in, and be able to then just stay to his feet, get the offload, and spread it out wide and finish it down in the far corner. It was a great finish.
Well, Old Belvedere showing off some of their talent, and they're looking lethal with the ball in hand. And Wilkinson, not a bad attempt, but unsuccessful with the conversion. And Old Belvedere 20, St. Mary's 7. St. Mary's with a lot of work to do here. Old Belvedere with a bonus point in sight.
Yeah, I think this is the last thing that Mary's wanted, was to have to chase another try straight off from the get-go, and I think Mary's need to get a score on the board as the next score needs to be from them, for them to be really keep knocking on that door.
MacDonald, Wilkinson, massive punt, but well fielded by Connor Hickey. And here's Kilcallan, back to Connor Hickey. And Ronan Foley with the offload. Mick O'Gara for Mulvihill, the loose head prop. O'Gara once more, and Kilcallan, the left winger. So a few touches for Stephen Kilcallan. Starrett. So building nicely, St. Mary's, and they've got the penalty as well. Mick O'Gara with a little dink over the top. Beautiful play by the number 10. And then goes for the miracle ball, but we will come back for the penalty, and St. Mary's showing that they can also play.
That's what you want to see. You want to see a reaction from the other side. You don't want it to be a case where they sit back on their heels. You want to see them going for it, and you know, having the opportunity with a free play on a penalty advantage is the perfect time to do it. And it came off, and it could have been a wonderful try if he just got that extra pass away. But he was swamped up by the Belvedere defence, and I think they were happy then to come back for the penalty and just kick for a bit of ground.
And that's a dismal kick by St. Mary's, coming at a big cost. But Stephen Kilcallan, he can score from anywhere, the left winger. Finds Connor Hickey in support. And Ronan Foley, the number 8. Mick O'Gara for Starrett. Outstanding carry by the number 4. So good 20-meter gain. O'Gara and Hickey once more. Walsh, lean, and this time it's Foley. So good hands by St. Mary's. Mick O'Gara, Kilcallan once more. really starting to pop up. And McWay and McAleese with good defense. And Waters this time. The counter ruck coming by Old Belvedere. William MacDonald. Smart play by the open side flanker. McWay. Paddy Darling, well, he can step anybody. And he gets the ball away to Jamie McAleese, who has a new lease on life. And he gets Old Belvedere's 4th try of the game. Bonus point try.
Another great reaction from Old Belvedere at the breakdown time, at ruck time there. And you could see there that the ball was out. Belvedere pounced on it quicker than Mary's did. Managed to play that ball back. Mary's were still shuffling back to get their defensive line in shape and structure. And they're able to play it out there. So you can see here now, Belvedere reacted quickest.
Paddy Darling, well, he can step anybody.
Saw the supporting man,
and he gets the ball away to Jamie McAleese, who has a new lease on life. And he gets on. Well, Jamie McAleese, he's been so impressive in pre-season. Last season, he didn't get much game time, but he's really back with a vengeance. And that centre combination as well of McAleese and Pickett, it really looks like they're going to cause opposition big problems this season.
Definitely. You can see they're playing well together, and they're getting each other's style of play. They know where the other player is, and they trust their inside and outside man, and that's super important, especially in defensive work with the centre pairing, is making sure that you trust them and that you know that they have that tackle or they have that defensive line covered, so you're not kind of scrambling, and making sure that they're got it. You can focus on your game and allow them to focus on theirs too, which is always a dangerous combination, and then flip it into attack. They know where they're going to be, they know their speed, they know their pace, they know their abilities inside out, and that's what you want, and to be able to pass it without even looking and knowing your players there outside you.
So St. Mary's, do they have the ability to come back into this fixture? That's the question. Still 34 minutes to go. Kilgallen, what can he do? Left winger, good stepping. Richie Halpin to Mika Gora, who's under so much pressure. Good defensive line by Old Belvedere. McAvoy is on the park at scrum off, and he has Foley and Pickett trying to get in with the steal. Connor Hickey popping up at first receiver, and Callum Darling with the tackle. Gora, an opportunity for St. Mary's, and Ariel Robles is over that ball, and he gets the penalty as well. Outstanding work by the winger.
Yeah, it's great to see as well wingers getting stuck into rucks, into poaching positions and stuff, and it's no longer just a forwards game of rucks and maws, and I think he's had a cracking game. He's been able to spot space and spot any sort of gaps and overlaps fantastically, and his defensive work has been brilliant, as well as this now, a turnover in a crucial time. You want to make sure that Marys don't build any sort of momentum to allow them to get back into the game, and Belvedere's need to keep in control.
David Wilkinson. With a decent touch finder. And Liam Corcoran is coming onto the park for St. Mary's. And Keane Cunningham to throw on his AIL debut for Old Belvedere, and it's a skew throw.
Another one there on both sides. I think that's 2 for Belvedere, 1 for Mary's, but you can see the long arms of a Wendy trying to stretch up, and it would have been a great ball to get back with that long reach of a Wendy and getting it back then down to a scrum half, but like I said, just slightly skew, and it'll come back for another scrum.
McAvoy. This has got to be very frustrating for coach Sean Cronin of St. Mary's. Another silly error, and it's a tap and go by Will MacDonald. And he's looked so fierce in this fixture. They're starting to mean business, Old Belvedere. It's Mulhern. What a tackle.
Yeah, the ref isn't happy here on this one. I think he's just saying that he was offside. I think the initial free kick was, crooked feed in at the scrum time, and then Belvedere was building phases. Mary's were just losing a bit of patience, and they're not happy with there's a foot in the ruck, and came back for penalty, and not happy then with the chat to march them up there another 10 metres.
So Wilkinson knocks it into touch. And Old Belvedere not taking their foot off the pedal. And Cunningham will have another shot at this line out. Can he get the throw right? He does. William MacDonald with the take. Callum Darling at the back. Connell Bird for Jamie McAleese, looking for try number 2. Some sterling defense by St. Mary's. Callum Darling. William MacDonald. And Jamie Mulhern playing at scrum off. Connell Bird. O'Kennedy back to Ariel Robles. Top class finishing. Outstanding line by Ariel Robles, and smart play by Miholo O'Kennedy as well.
Yeah, like it was pointed out earlier, Ariel Robles has been spotting any sort of gaps, any sort of space all day, and he's been taking his opportunities when they come. So to have that patience and that ability here, so you can see they trucked it up, sucked in a few of the Mary's defenders, spread the ball out a little bit further, popped it back in, 9 to 10, 10 back in, inside channel, cut them on the soft shoulder and dots it down then just to the right of the posts.
So David Wilkinson hasn't had a successful day from the tee, but at the moment it's been really all academic from the kicking tee. In terms of the lead, Old Belvedere, so 25 points the difference. It's still 28 minutes to go. And it just shows you the highest margin at Ollie Campbell Park in the past 9 or 10 games played here between the two sides. It's just been 17 points. So that just shows you that the scoreline is flattering at the moment, but still tons of time.
Yeah, another high tackle there. It's Mary's second, so we'll probably look to have another chat here and just to make sure that players are aware what's required from them, what's expected from them, and not to lose the heads now, especially with an extra try sneaking in. Heads can drop and frustrations can rise. So, I'd say it's giving them a quick chat, letting them know that's not tolerated.
Wilkinson. Lovely kick by the fullback.
Yeah, great kick there, especially with the position they weren't exactly midfield, so a bit of a tight angle, but he managed to get it maybe about 10 yards short of the 22, Mary's 22, and to have possession from here, go from your own 22 to here in one kick is a great opportunity to counter attack, and let's see what Belvedere can do, and let's see how Mary's react as well.
It's Keane Cunningham with the throw, finds Paddy Darling. Cunningham for Thatcher, good hands. And McWay lets it go. Opportunity for St. Mary's. They've got numbers. Beautiful stepping by Kilcallan. Silken slippers that time. Beautiful play by St. Mary's. And Pickett. That is outstanding by the centre. Coming up with a top-class steal.
Yeah, Beck's has been really, really impressive all match so far, and he's just really, really quick. Sees the opportunity there, tries to get it. Mary's tried to move him, but there's not a hope referee tries to play it on, but nothing's coming from it, so it comes back for the penalty. And you can see in an earlier phase as well that Mary's there were just Belvedere were getting a bit frustrated, waiting for a penalty to come that wasn't coming. And rule number one that you're told from a kid is always play the whistle. Mary's got a quick counter, and it could have been more dangerous if Belvedere hadn't reacted a bit more in the back line. But just goes to show that you need to react to the whistle, keep playing until that whistle's blown, or else you could find yourself in a spot of bother.
Darling with the take, and McWay to McAleese. Cale Thatcher and William MacDonald. So already 5 tries on the board for Old Belvedere. It's Peckett this time. And what a poach that was. St. Mary's still hungry. And they've still got time. Here's Dundon, the big man. Fogarty at first receiver to Connor Hickey. Trying to evade a few defenders. They've got the free play as well. And Ronan Waters trying to lead by example, the St. Mary's captain. Corcoran with the carry. And Harry MacDonald almost breaking through. Connor Hickey tries to throw the dummy, and McWay with some good defense, but Hickey gaining a lot of meters. Mick O'Gara and Hugo Conway. McAvoy for Dundon, putting his head down. Brilliant presentation. Fogarty still going with the offload to Foley, to Harry MacDonald. MacDonald, what a finish that is. What a try, St. Mary's.
They needed that, and they definitely needed to build the confidence, pick the heads back up and keep going, and for them to be able to just pick that try up, just use the patience as well, not to get too frustrated with anything and chuck it up. So you can see here, it was nice to step in, back in from Fogarty, carried it in, offload in, saw the man outside, stepped his player and brought it, and just used that leg drive to power over and dot it down between the posts.
Well, St. Mary's also showing what they can do. And it's still early days, whatever the result is. Yeah, Mick O'Gara slots it over. 32 points to 14 with 23 minutes to go. 3 converted tries will do it for St. Mary's.
And he's definitely seen stranger things happening in games like this. I mean, they're always a tasty fixture, and I think if Mary's were to get another converted try here now in the next 5-10 minutes, it could make for a very, very interesting last quarter. But they need to get another score, and a very, very quick score at that, just to keep the heads, keep the momentum, and stop Belvedere from building any more momentum. Because I think once Belvedere get another score, I think the Mary's heads will drop that a little bit too far.
So the try by Harry MacDonald, another New Zealander on the park today, and his AIL debut. So Foley, the number 8, cleaning up the messy ball. McAvoy for Richie Halpin, and there's space on the left. Fogarty and Kilcallan. You can spark something out of nothing, and he's a real difficult customer to get your hands on. Liam Corcoran this time with the carry. Mick O'Gara for Foley in space. Ronan Foley, what an offload to Waters. He's got Hugo Conway on his right. Conway back on the inside to the Buffalo. The captain strikes for St. Mary's. What a brilliant score.
Another great try there from St. Mary's. They worked it the whole way through the pitch, worked it through the hands, kept the patience. This is what Belvedere need to be afraid of as well. So they get a bit too complacent in things. Drop tackles, 2 missed tackles there as well, and are grabbing at the jersey, which allows for the offload then into Waters for him to dot down. And like I said, if they get another try here, it could make for a very interesting last quarter, and so it will. So let's see how Belvedere react to this now. 2 tries in the last 6 minutes.
And what about the feet of the St. Mary's winger, Stephen Kilcathan? He's starting to light up.
That's it, and you could see all he saw was green grass in front of him. He didn't mind, he didn't care who was around him from Old Belvedere. He just saw green grass and he put the burners on and started going for it. Drew in a few Belvedere players and then knew he had a supporting player on the inside to pass back into, and it was the captain of all people then to dot it down.
Well, what a shot that was by O'Gara. And all of a sudden, there's 11-point deficit in the space of 2 or 3 minutes, 2 converted tries. And it's game on. If St. Mary's get the next points, it could be very, very nervous for Old Belvedere.
Definitely. You certainly don't want to think that, Old Belvedere will sit back even further. You want to think they're going to switch it back up, turn it back up a gear, and bring back that ferocity that they showed at the very start of the second half, and see if they can get maybe another try or at least keep it down in the Mary's 22.
Conway, well, he did an outstanding job in setting up that try, and he's still going Hugo Conway. A 60-meter bust by the right winger. Fogarty at scrum off. Connor Hickey. And they're looking for a remarkable comeback. The men in blue, it's Dundon. McAvoy, Fogarty, Kilcallan. And this time he's well marshaled, but St. Mary's have the penalty. Here we go, O'Gara and Lean. Dundon, well, ever since he's come onto the park, St. Mary's have started their comeback. Fogarty popping up everywhere, and we'll come back for the penalty. Decision time, Hayley.
Yeah, that's 2 now, and 2 in that phase of play, and that's Belvedere's heads are now, the coins on the shoes on the other foot now, and Belvedere look rattled, and Belvedere look like they could be in trouble of getting a card and a warning from the referee, because that's 3 penalties in a row against them, and 2 in quite crucial positions and attacking positions from Mary. So Belvedere need to keep the head, focus back on their game, focus back on where they're at, and just retaining the ball. Don't overcomplicate it, simplify it, and just maintain possession.
Just a few seconds ago, you could see the reaction of Podge Dundon. He's absolutely pumped for this fixture. And he's chatting to the referee as well.
Yeah, just having a chat with him there. Just make sure everything's all good on both sides, I'm sure. But like that, yeah, that's what you want to see. You can see Mary's are pumped for this. They're never going to drop the head completely. They're never just going to let Belvedere walk in for the last 20 minutes. It was really a case of when they'd get their burners going, and now seems to be it. The purple patch is well and truly lit.
What a fixture it's been so far, especially in the second half. 17 minutes to go, 32 points to 21. We've seen 8 tries. And Richie Holpen with the throw. And it's an overthrow, an opportunity, but Fogarty, he's also really been good in the last 15 minutes or so. McAvoy. And MacDonald. And Old Belvedere, an opportunity now to reset and calm down.
Definitely, they're going to just want to clear their lines here, take a breather, take their time with it, and just ensure that they hit their lines and just get a couple of meters out from their own 22, really alleviate the pressure and just settle back down again.
Lovely touch finder, so many meters gained. What a kick that was to just settle down.
You can can see here now, Belvedere are a bit slow coming to the line out. They're just slowing down a bit. They've taken the foot off the pedal ever so slightly. So you're just going to want to make sure they keep the head and they don't want to take the foot any further off the pedal and concede another score, because that'll make it a very, very nervy last 10 minutes for them if they do that.
And a skew throw. Handing possession back to St. Mary's. And St. Mary's, while Old Belvedere, with 8 minutes to go in the previous game between the two sides, overcame a 13-point deficit. There's 16 minutes to go out here at Ollie Campbell Park, and the deficit is just 11. So anything can happen.
Absolutely, anything can happen, and especially with Mary's now, they'll be looking for the bonus point anyway. They'll be going for their 4th try, so they'll definitely want that 4th try, if not the win.
It's a big shove by Mary's, and they've got the penalty as well. Top class work by their forward pack. James Bollard, the Old Belvedere skipper, the tight head prop, not happy with that one.
Yeah, he's not happy there. The referee at all. He's saying the front row stepped up, and hard to see from this angle, and especially with any sort of replays. But the referee has the best view on the pitch for these sort of things. So,
well, that's the second time that St. Mary's of a penalty haven't been able to find touch. So they're going to have a crack from inside their own 22. It's Connor Hickey for Mark Fogarty. Brilliant hands. And Kilcallan with the offload to McMahon. And perhaps some overzealousness there.
Yeah, and so Belvedere were great. They scrambled across. They knew there was no overlap on the outside. Didn't panic. Had the drift defence in place. Just moved the players across. Had the communication there, and forced then the ball to go over the line, and force then the black ball turnover. So it'll be interesting now to see how Belvedere react. You can hear the crowd definitely picking up a bit of voice. So I'd say the last 15 minutes now will be a very, very exciting 15 minutes.
Oren O'Brien on the park for Old Belvedere in the number 18 jersey. He's had a terrible time with injury over the past few years. And a free kick to St. Mary's, so problems at scrum time. McAvoy wanted to take it quickly.
Yeah, another crooked feed there as well, so that's one apiece for each side on the crooked feed. So it's definitely one. It's a very, very easy free kick to avoid. Just getting that ball in straight and just keeping it fair and keeping it contestable. And with the break foot being brought into law this season as well, it's a lot easier to keep it stable in the front row, which makes it even easier than to get a nice clean ball into the prop there. Sorry, into the hooker. So no excuses really for simple free kicks being given away like that.
Now there's another free kick, Hayley. I'll let you explain that one.
Yeah, that one, I think it was the break foot wasn't in place. So just after mentioning the break foot, I think that's what it was. So it seems to be that the break foot was back. It's a funny one because there's no real symbol for it. We kind of say top the foot, and that seems to be what the ref's doing. So it's hard to tell without a ref mic in place, but I think that's what he's symbolising anyway.
So Old Belvedere, well, you would have to think that if they get a 5 points a year, it might be a little bit too much for St. Mary's. O'Kennedy, Pickett, the outside centre, has looked dangerous all game. And O'Brien, Breen Leonard at scrum off, Bollard, the captain, the workhorse, O'Wendy. William MacDonald with a little bit of room. He needs support though. Leonard for Thatcher to Cunningham. To Thatcher again. Opportunity to strike for Old Belvedere. And it might seal the victory as well. O'Kennedy, Wilkinson. Leonard goes left to Mulhern. St. Mary's, that's a crucial steal. Hickey sees some space in the backfield, but it wasn't his best kick. He finds Jaden Pickett. with the offload to David Wilkinson. Cunningham in support. Thatcher with the offload for O'Kennedy and Ariel Robles. Beautiful offload to Joe White. And work for Connor Hickey. And he'll clear the decks.
Yeah, a bit of a scrambling play from both sides there. I think Belvedere got a bit complacent at the ruck time and Mary's then managed to force the turnover, and then, like you said, wasn't the greatest clearance kick then from Mary's, landed in the basket of Old Belvedere, chased it back up, put a bit more pressure on them, but had to then go for an option, couldn't go through the defenders, to try to go over defenders. Mary's were able to clear their lines again. So let's have both teams have a bit of a breather here while I think it's Fogarty down getting a bit of attention. So let teams both get a bit of a breather, clear the heads, refocus, and let's see how these last 10 minutes play out.
Just in terms of the upcoming fixtures for both these sides, Old Belvedere travel to Rifle Park in the north to take on Banbridge, a side that they lost twice to last year, home and away, and then they've got Naas back at home on the 15th of October. St. Mary's have Malone at home next weekend, and then a trip down to UCC, who got relegated from Division 1A last season. So Cunningham, the ex-Sea Point player, and he finds MacDonald. And do they have the game management ability to close out this game, Old Belvedere? A very young side. Cunningham, he needs support. Foley trying to come through the centre of that ruck, almost getting the turnover. Breen Leonard and Thatcher. It's been some shift by the number 8. Mulhern under a lot of pressure. Outstanding defense by St. Mary's. And Leonard going on the short side to Peckett. Mulhern with the offload to MacDonald. Exceptional work by the loose head prop. Miholo Kennedy. And here's Darling for Lynch. Hasn't had many opportunities. And he likes a kick and chase. And he finds Stephen Kilcallan. He might take a tap and go. Yeah, and he does. And he's setting off as well. And that was the right idea. That was very unlucky. And it's play on. Hugo Conway. And Connor Hickey. And finds touch.
Yeah, it was a bit of a messy play there from both sides. You could see they were trying to do with the quick tap and go. They saw there was a bit of an opportunity, forced then the offload on the outside, and this came off the fingertips, came back, played advantage, and then Belvo kicked away the advantage and allowed then Mary's to play it on. And maybe then Belvo should have settled, either even opted for the scrum and just to settle it down, or just play it instead of forcing things that weren't on. But now that we're back on the halfway line, it's Belvo put into a line out.
Paddy Darling coming off the field. It's been some 72 minutes by the blindside flanker wearing the number 4 jersey. 7 minutes to go at Ollie Campbell Park. Cunningham, and that looks skew, but it's play on. St. Mary's really putting the pressure on Old Belvedere, coming away with that one. And this time, so it is a scrum to St. Mary's.
Yeah, I think the referee was calling use it, and it wasn't being used. And Mary's are just being an absolute nuisance at the breakdown, which is exactly what you want to do. Disrupt it, don't give a clean ball to the 9 at the back of a ruck, and disrupt it as much as you can. And in this case, it worked. This kept putting pressure on. 9 couldn't get a clean ball, so kept putting it off, and eventually then ref had enough and said, nope, we'll go for a scrum here for blue.
I beg your pardon, it's actually Oren O'Brien who's only come onto the park now in the 18 jersey. And number 19 is Dara O'Callaghan. St. Mary's, well, can they strike? Can they deliver? They're trying now in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and they're in with a sniff. And it's impressive at scrum time again.
Yeah, another one of the front row standing up, and to be honest, I'm surprised the referee isn't having a chat with them. This is their third penalty on the scrum time, so I'm surprised he hasn't said anything to them.
And that's the third kick where they haven't found touch. And Ariel Robles, he is electrifying. What a bust by the winger, and it's gone forward. And St. Mary's, they just can't clear the decks of the penalty.
They're struggling. I think what they need to be doing is looking for touch. You can see a great line here from Robles, just dancing around them and skipping 1-2, and I think it was unfortunate there. I didn't think it went forward, but I mean, he has got a better view than I do, and he's going to turn it now from a scrum into a penalty for back chat. So the referee's having no chat from anyone on this day.
So Connor Hickey, fourth time lucky, and he finds touch. Connor Hickey from Warringah Rugby Club in Australia was actually Rookie of the Year last year, an exciting talent.
And that's what you want to see. You just want to see them making the touch of play. They don't want to be, you don't need to have to get it between the 5 metre and the try line. Obviously, that's your ideal kick, but as long as you reach touch, that's all you really want to do, and you gain a few yards. So they seem to be a bit safer on these kicks and just ensure the touch.
So Richie Holpen, he has to get his darts right. The experienced hooker. And he finds Corcoran. And here come St. Mary's. Old Belvedere with good defense. Dundon with the pick and go. And Foley with the carry. McAvoy goes on the short side to Hugo Conway. Conway still going. Slow ball for St. Mary's. And they just have to keep patient. It's Corcoran. McAvoy back on the short side to Connor Hickey. And they've lost a few meters, St. Mary's. O'Reilly with the carry.
Yeah, after stopping it there on grounds of safety. I think there's a Belvedere player down. Can't see who it is at the moment. There's a player down injured, so it's just the traffic was coming back in. You can see there it's Bollard, the captain, so the plays have stopped just on safety grounds. He didn't want the traffic coming back into him, so they'll stop it, reset it, and they'll restart with a blue scrum then heading back in.
Well, Shane Kieran's, he is a health and safety officer. So very well equipped. 3 minutes to go. Can St. Mary's do this? Hayley, that's the question.
If there's any team that can, and there's any derby that will show any sort of an upset and a sudden surprise, it is this fixture, and it is St. Mary's who could do it. But I think Belvedere have managed to settle down a bit more. Their structure and at the ruck time and defensive lines has definitely settled a lot more from the first kind of 15 minutes of the first half. So if they can just hold their shape and hold their discipline, I think is another thing that's dropped ever so slightly. So if they can hold both of them, I think they'll be able to see the fixture out. But if Mary's get a try here, if they move the scrum straight over the try line and they manage to get a try, it could make it for a very interesting last few minutes.
And also could be a crucial bonus point and offer as well, even if they do get a try and don't come away with the win. We saw Nace last year against Old Belvedere in the first game of the season. They lost and they went on to qualify for the semi-finals. Long season ahead. Any points count.
Big time, and 1B, it's always really, really competitive league, and it's actually a great league to be a part of, and there's always movement up and down across the division throughout the season, so who really knows?
Foley. Ronan Foley. What's going on here? He's going to be brought back.
That was just a free kick. I think they got a bit excited there. Thought it was a penalty, did tap and go, but it was just, I think it was a reset on the scrum there, so it'll come back and we'll see what happens at this scrum time.
Well, only 40 seconds left on the stadium clock and 90 seconds on our clock. So who knows which one is the truth? We'll find out. McAvoy with the put in. And they're looking for the penalty, but they need to go quickly, St. Mary's. They can't play for the penalty.
No, they just need to get this ball out. You know, they're not looking for just one try or one score. They need two here, so they want to be able to get this ball out the backs, or if they have momentum, to get it over and dot it down over the try line. But they need to get that second score, so, you know, any sort of restarts is just eating into their time. So they really want to be able to get this ball moving.
So looking for the bonus points, St. Mary's. And maybe the win if there is time. McAvoy with the put in. It's a good shove once again. Really putting the pressure on, and it's a penalty try. It's a 7-pointer. Bonus points as well for St. Mary's. Their 4th try of the game, and is there time still? Yellow card as well to James Bollard, the captain. He looks bemused.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big call now. You can see here they had momentum. They were pushing it on, and I mean, they had the pick and go at the back of the scrum, and I thought they would have just played it. You know, another one where it could really have gone any way, either way on the day, but the penalty try is given, and you've got a 4-point game with, well, I'd say just whatever's left on the referee's clock at this stage. Could be 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, it's all on. 20 minutes ago, Eddie, we were talking about the highest margin, and all of a sudden it's within 4 points. And that just shows you sometimes history just repeats itself.
That's it. They're both hungry teams, and if this was the other way around, it would just be the exact same thing if we were out in Templeville Road. But here we are on Ollie Campbell Park, and it's going to come down right down to the wire.
So yeah, we go. A 5-pointer will do it for St. Mary's. But they've got to go about 80 metres here. Ronan Fothy, he's had a cracking game. Connor Hickey. And the step and the let go, and that might be too much. It's Connor Wendy, who really wants to celebrate his 100th AIL appearance for Old Belvedere with a victory. The game is in the palm of their hands, and they've let it go. That's gone forward. Is there still time? There is, according to Shane Kieran's.
Yeah, time's off here now again. I think they're making a substitute because they have no front row, so they'll have to make a change here. So with Bollard off the pitch, they need another front row placement coming in, so they'll have to take someone out of their back, so it'll just stop the clock and get that reset. But you can see the pressure that Belvedere are under here, and they're in their heads, just saying to themselves, don't mess it up, see it out, keep the discipline, keep the heads. It's all they have to do for, I'd say, no more than 2 minutes.
So Michael Bean on the park for Old Belvedere, and that's quite a big call at the final scrum of the game to bring the replacement prop onto the park, even though it is Old Belvedere's ball.
Yeah, they have no choice, I think, just with Bollard off with the yellow, so it's a case that they just have to get bodies in and get that scrum going, or else they're looking to drop it down to uncontested and a 14-man or 13-man.
Leonard with the feed, St. Mary's with a big shove. Cale Thatcher is really under pressure, but he's done a good job. Leonard for Owendy. Breen Leonard just working the short side. William MacDonald and Mary's. No, they don't have this ball. Breen Leonard. Back to David Wilkinson. And after 80 minutes, it's the job done by Old Belvedere. They were exceptional in the opening 40 to 50 minutes of this fixture. St. Mary's were also remarkable in the final 30 minutes. And at the end of it, we've had an absolutely fantastic game. 9 tries scored, 5 tries to Old Belvedere, 4 to St. Mary's. What a way to start off the season here at Ollie Campbell Park.
Yeah, absolutely cracking opener. And like we both said at the start of the match, it is so hard to call it between these two teams on any day. 4 points at the end of the day. You know, it was looking for a while that Old Belvedere could have really had a bit of a beating of Mary's here, and Mary's just did not let the heads drop. They kept going, pulled it out of the bag, and came back to a 4 point deficit, which is incredible. Get the losing bonus point and the four try bonus point. Exceptional result on the day, considering what the score was 10 minutes into the second half. And I think Old Belvedere really dug deep as well to keep them out and to keep the win on that one. Kept their discipline, kept the heads, and just kept trucking on.
And Haley, I'll put you on the spot here. Who's your player of the match?
Tough one. I definitely, it comes down to Beckett or Mackleys, I think, for Old Belvedere. They were absolutely crucial in the centre. The centre pairing was absolutely phenomenal, but I think considering the defensive work that Beckett did throughout the game, I think would have to go to Beckett.
Thank you very much for joining us. Final score here at Ollie Campbell Park. Old Belvedere 32, St. Mary's 28.